After the big shift we noted in the month of September, where the pace of sales went down and the pace of new listings went way up, we were all watching very closely to see what would happen in October and if this trend would continue. To many people's surprise, this trend did not continue, and we actually saw sales increasing in the month of October and the pace of new listings decreasing. So what's happening in the market right now and where are prices headed? I'm Adina Dragasanu with Adina YVR Vancouver Real Estate Group and OAKWYN Realty, here with your November 2023 market update. Let's take a look at the numbers and see exactly what's happening. The Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver reported that we had 1,996 home sales in the month of October. This represents an increase of about 3.5% relative to September and also about 3.5% higher than this time last year. However, relative to the 10-year sales average for the month of October, it's down almost 30%. Looking at how this breaks down by housing type, we see that the detached segment saw sales decrease by about 1% relative to last year, whereas the attached and townhome segment saw sales increase. For attached townhomes or duplexes, it's increased by 6.6% relative to this time last year. And for condo apartments, sales have increased about 5% relative to this time last year. So let's take a look at what's happening on the supply side of the equation. The Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver reported that we had 4,664 homes newly listed for sale in the month of October. This is down about 14% relative to September, and it's up about 15% relative to this time last year. Relative to the 10-year sales average for the month of October, it's up about 5%. Looking at total inventory, we see that the total number of properties currently listed for sale ended at about 11,600. This is up about 2% relative to September, and it's up about 12.5% relative to this time last year. But looking at the 10-year seasonal average, we see that this is only up about 0.5% relative to that 10-year average. So what type of market are we in right now, and where are prices headed? To answer this, we need to look at the sales to active listings ratio. As you know, this ratio looks at the total number of sales in a given month divided by the total active listings left over at the end of that month. And looking at this ratio, we can see if the market is favoring buyers or sellers. When this ratio is below 12%, we're typically in buyer's market conditions, meaning that prices are on their way down. When this ratio is above 21%, we're typically in seller's market conditions and prices are typically on their way up. Currently, our sales to active listings ratio is 17.9%. This puts us right in balanced market territory, and this is typically where we start seeing prices stabilize. Looking at this by property type, we see the ratio is currently 12.9% for detached homes. This is right on the cusp between a balanced market and a buyer's market. For attached townhomes, the ratio is 20.9%, which is right on the cusp of a balanced market to a seller's market. And for condo apartments, it's 21.5%, which again is right on the cusp of balanced to seller's market territory. So let's take a look at what's happening with prices. The HPI composite benchmark price for all property types is currently $1,196,500. This is down about 0.5% relative to September, and it's up about 4.5% relative to this time last year. Looking at this by property type, we see that for detached homes, the HPI benchmark price is $2,001,400. This represents a decrease of 0.8% relative to September, and it's an increase of 5.8% relative to October last year. For attached townhomes, the HPI benchmark price is currently $1,100,500. This represents an increase of 0.2% relative to September, and it's an increase of 0.6% relative to October last year. For condo apartments, the HPI benchmark price is $770,200. This represents a 0.2% increase relative to September, and it's an increase of 6.4% relative to October last year. In many ways, what we're seeing in the market right now is reminiscent of what we were seeing this time last year. We're still seeing buyers and sellers active in the marketplace, but neither seem to be overly motivated for the most part. Buyers are wanting to make a move, but they're having challenges getting their financing with the exorbitantly high interest rates, and many sellers want to sell, but only for the right price. So the demand and activity is there, but it's more challenging than we've seen bringing them together to prices that they mutually agree to. If you're thinking of making a move and want to know either what your property is worth or to get a sense of your options in this market, schedule a consultation with us. You could either click the link down below in the description here on YouTube, or you could click the link in my bio on Instagram. In the meantime, to stay up to date with what's going on in the market, be sure to subscribe here on YouTube and follow me on Instagram at adina.yvr. That's it for now. Have a great rest of the month, and I can't wait to see you in December.